there were so many. There were quite a few rounds. I feel like there was the initial audition where you just did it on your own. And then there was the callback, which was a mix and match, where we were all there and being paired up with different people along the way. And then there was a final callback, where there was, I think me and Zach stayed together the entire time on that.
We tried one time to split you up and
Didn't work.
it was just, no.
I sang Lean on Me for my first audition. I auditioned for Troy, and Drew Seeley auditioned right before me, and I heard his voice through, because we were in a trailer, and so the walls were paper thin, and I almost got up and walked out because of how incredible his voice was, and I was like, this is just not happening at all. I got a call back and met Kenny. I sang Lean on Me again, and he said, great, get out of here, learn the sides for Ryan, because you're not a Troy, you're a Ryan. And I was like, okay. And then, yeah, the final callback was just 7 hours of madness.
I remember you.
I also auditioned for someone different. I auditioned for Ryan initially.
Yeah, but whatever you did initially, I just remember that you were in Hawaii and you were working on a show.
You're right, yeah.
And we didn't have a Chad. And they said, what about Corbin Blue? And I was like, yes! And they were saying, but we have to read him for it. And you flew all the way in from Hawaii, and you came in, and within 2 minutes we just went, glory hallelujah, and it was over.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because it was the last person to cast was Chad. Everybody else, we knew who it was going to be, and then we were reminded about you because you had auditioned for another part.
Yeah.
Crazy. It was. Thank you for reminding me of that. I know it was still same thing. A lot of hurdles throughout the process, because I know there was an initial audition for Ryan, and then I sang "I Would Die for You" by Prince. And then I got to do the same thing, a mix and match with Mo. And then my final audition process was just me and Chucky at Debbie Reynolds' dance studio.
Oh, yeah?
I just remember the most extraordinary thing was the chemistry that Zach and Vanessa had. And I just remember that no matter how talented anybody was that walked into the room, that there was something else that was happening every time they did anything together.
Young love.
No, and it was just, it was so palpable, and it was unique for me to see that it was impossible to go any other way. And to everyone else, it was just like they came in that room, and when they were together, there was just nothing that could compare to it. It was so special, so wonderful, and look what it did. Yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
So you talked about Hawaii, and after we shot High School Musical, it came out. I went back to do another season of the television show in Hawaii. It's called Flight 29 Down, and there is a festival that they do there every year called the Punahou Carnival, and everybody from the island goes. We went. I had never experienced anything like what happened. I got mobbed. Like it was from one day to the next. I had gone from never. I think the most I'd ever had. I did a movie called Catch That Kid with Kristen Stewart, and I think I've had one or two people ever come up before and ask for an autograph, but this was like truly mobbed. I was with my mom, who is a little 5'3" Italian woman. And she had no idea how to handle any of it, and we got back and just breathed this sort of sigh of relief and going, what's happening? And just I remember my mom singing, welcome to your life, there's no turning back. Yeah. Like after that, yeah.
That's crazy.
Do you remember?
Well, I don't remember the first time. I just went from 0 to 100 after High School Musical.
I did a couple of commercials right when I moved to LA. And the first time I got recognized was when I went back home. I was going back to my high school to visit my choir teacher. And a couple of the kids walked in and were like, "Oh, you're the kid from the school, but also in those commercials." And I was like, "Commercials? Who recognized people from commercials?" And they were like, "Can we get your autograph?" I'm like, "You don't want my autograph, like whatever." And it was one of those weird, awkward moments. But yeah, I mean, the big one, obviously, after High School Musical, I feel like I went to Europe after we shot them. You know, was backpacking around, sleeping on people's floors and hostels and doing all this stuff and, you know, nothing. And then I get back home and the movie comes out and immediately it was like 2 months later, we're going to New York to do Good Morning America and the Today Show. And the mobs were insane. Times Square just full of people screaming and...
I remember Paris. Paris, when we came here to do the premiere in Paris.
And then climbed on top of the car.
We did an album signing, and that they were unprepared. The security was unprepared for the amount of kids that showed up, and they were pushing up against the windows, and they had to cancel. And they were rushing us all out the back door, and we got into this car, and all of a sudden there were bodies all over the top of the car. It was like a Beatles kind of experience.
Really?
I also remember for Zach, there was a really funny thing that happened with Zach. We were in Paris, and we were coming down an elevator, and the elevator door opened, and Paul McCartney got in, and it was Paul McCartney, Zac Efron, and myself. And we said, "Hello, Sir Paul," and hello, and he didn't know who we were, and we knew who he was. And when we got down to the bottom, the elevator doors opened, and we walked out. There was this screaming, insane screaming, and Paul McCartney turned thinking that it was for him, and it was for Zach. And Zach was a little embarrassed.
Yeah.
Paris, I just remember, I think that we all knew that domestically in the US that things were going really, really well, but Paris became this sort of first huge kind of, I mean, the streets were flooded with thousands of kids, and it just became really apparent that we had gone global, and it was here where I think that was when we found that out.
I remember meeting you the first time.
Where?
It was at the Little America. Yeah, and I think I walked in, you and Zach were both there, and I remember we all went swimming that night. Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah, I remember you were with your mom and walking through the halls, and Monique and I were coming back from dinner.
The restaurant,
or something.
I think at Little America.
Yeah. I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Hey, yeah, see ya." And I was like, "Oh man, I feel so old. Like all these kids are in this movie, like." And I wasn't that much older. I'm not that much older than you, but at that time it was
It
just
seemed because you were 20.
20.
And
Yeah.
I was 15.
Yeah.
So,
that's
that difference does at
Yeah.
that time
Yeah.
feel big.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Weren't you 15?
Yeah, I was 15.
Yeah, we're only like 3 months apart. Yeah.
We met at well, I remember seeing you at the audition.
Same.
I don't think did we talk?
I don't know if we talked, but I remember seeing you.
Yeah. And then we all had dinner the first night we got in.
Yeah.
With you and your mom and Stella and Ashley
Yeah.
and her mom
Yeah.
and Monique.
Wow.
First one?
So
First
when I
advice you gave.
first came to Kenny after we had gotten through a few rehearsals, and so we were warming up to each other, whatever. And I was like, okay, I've been thinking about this, and I need to talk to him about Ryan. I was like, so Kenny, I want to talk to you about Ryan. I mean, I know this is Disney Channel, but he's gay, right? And you were like, well, that would be the easy, obvious way to handle this character. But why don't we do something interesting? And I was like, okay. And we just started having a conversation about your upbringing and the struggles that you went through, and the upbringing of myself through being a thespian, and from bullying to connectivity and being in a part of that community and seeing other people. And I remember you saying, like, this is not a heavy-handed brush that we paint Ryan with. We need to be delicate. Let's have some fun, and let's really dig and make something more than it just being a stereotype or a caricature of someone. And I just got so excited at that moment and was like, I get to play. And it was really, really, really exciting.
That's amazing.
I feel like I have this very vivid image and memory of you when we were in rehearsals and you were explaining to us how to move as a group. And you talked about in the streets of Tokyo. So many people moving all at once.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Tokyo.
And they kind of moved with each other, and there was like this flow that an entire group of people had as one, kind of this collective consciousness. And I remember you moving, and then we would all do it together, and it was just like a really beautiful like masterclass on taking a big group of people and turning them into one collective consciousness.
Yeah. There was so much of that in the beginning. I felt like those first 2 weeks of us doing dance rehearsals, every day was like you started off with so many lessons about how to make a movie, how to make a dance movie, how to dance, how to communicate to a lens without speaking, how to move around a camera. I mean, there was just so many things, just like you were hitting us every day with so much. It was, right, it was like a masterclass.
We actually, because have revisited this with High School Musical, the musical series, and we were all, me, Lucas, and Mo, were sitting at a dinner table talking about it, and talking about how we just shot this musical number, we just finished shooting a musical number, and how instinctual working with the Steadicam was in a musical number. And the fact that we had been drilled and disciplined throughout the entire course of the 3 movies. This is like you never let a shot go that you weren't 100% happy with. And when you watch the movies, that's why every shot is so iconic. But also that sort of discipline, what brought us to the place of being able to go, oh my God, I know how to just turn that on. I know how to be able to do what I'm doing.
Yeah, we were like, where did this, it's not where did it come from, we knew where it came from, but it was like, we shocked ourselves with the just sense memory of like, how did we just do this musical number in like 4 takes?
I'm gonna jump in because it's not an answer to your question because it's really for them. But the one I learned so much making this film, and I had done films before this for sure, choreographed and I directed. I think Newsies and Hocus Pocus and a few other things. But what I learned, I came at High School Musical auditions as if I was auditioning for a Broadway musical. And I took hours, and sometimes I kept these kids for hours, and their agents would call Disney going, what is he doing? They have other things to do in their lives. We need them out of that room. But what I was doing was I was searching for partners. And the promise that I saw in these individuals was what enabled me to sort of decide on them. And that from day one, I had partners, not just actors. I was working with partners who were there with me, who shared in the vision of what it was that we were going for, and who enabled me and gave me permission to work them as hard as I did and as quickly as I did. We didn't have the money or the time to make High School Musical in the capacity that it turned out. It was because of the people that were behind the camera. who gave me the permission to work at this sort of ambition that enabled us to accomplish what we accomplished. It was all about them.
Just to actually answer the question of what was the first, it was the very first scene that I had shot, and it was me and Mo, and it's the scene where I have all the watches. And you have given so much wisdom and incredible advice over the course of all the movies. And it's funny because this wasn't one of those like incredible life lessons. It was more of a piece of advice that just we needed in the moment. And both Mo and I were so self-conscious about the scene, and we did like 2 takes, and you said we got it, and both Mo and I were like, did we? And I remember we went up to you, we're like, Kenny, was that okay? And you're like, you two are wonderful. I will not let it go if I'm not happy with it. And it was there was like, we're taken care of. Okay, we're good.